Giza was sitting in his room, enjoying his favorite show, with his baby turtles watching alongside him. Knock knock knock. Come in Kiba, Giza said, without looking away from the TV. Kiba entered with a confused expression. How did you dash? You are the only person here that knocks that loud, Giza explained, before pausing his show and turning to Kiba. Now, what can I do for you, young lady? I want to see you fight Sori. Kiba requested somewhat sheepishly. Is there a reason, or is it simply for pure spectacle? Giza asked curiously. I want to learn, Kiba explained simply. Very well. Giza accepted, before turning back to the TV. Once this episode finishes. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Sori were facing off outside in the forest. On the side, Kiba was watching the two intently. "Are you ready?" Sori asked, getting into a battle-ready stance, while Giza stood calmly with his hands behind his back. "Yes, let us begin," Giza said. "Come." And thus the battle began with a bang. Shum! Sori burst toward Giza at explosive speeds and aimed a kick right at Giza's face, which he dodged by ducking down and sweeping Sori's leg, causing her to fall to the ground. Before Giza could capitalize, Sori rolled back onto all fours and pounced at him. Giza quickly fell back onto his hands, and as Sori flew over him, he pushed himself up, spun around, and kicked Sori in the side, sending her flying to the left towards Kiba. Sori flipped in the air, once again landing on all fours, as she dug her claws into the dirt, slowing her until she stopped a few feet in front of Kiba. "Heh! Slippery bastard!" Sori smirked. "Shum!" Once again, Sori shot out like a bullet, straight toward Giza. Sori tried to punch Giza, unleashing a shallow punch which he dodged by tilting her head to the side and then unleashing another one before he could react, which he dodged by ducking, and as Sori tried to knee him but he backflipped away. But Sori was right on him the moment he got to his feet. Sori was on his tail, literally, she stepped on his tail, keeping him in place. Sori launched a heavy punch at Giza's chest, but Giza moved to the side and did a double spin kick hitting Sori right in the side and sending her stumbling off his tail. "Alright, let's see if you can keep up," Sori challenged, before jumping back. Then she literally started running circles around Giza at top speed, too many, and in fact, to Giza, she was almost a blur, impossible for his eyes to keep up with. So he didn't bother trying. He didn't need to anyway, honestly he was almost offended she thought this would work on him. He closed his eyes and focused on his hearing. Pat 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 pat. He listened closely to her rapid footsteps, because the moment he heard the signal, he had to act. Pat 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 pat, fifth. There it was, the sound of sliding dirt. The signal of a predator about to pounce. Sori dashed at him from his upper left, hoping to ambush him after he lost track of her. But there was one issue. He never lost track of her. Giza shifted his body, dodging the attack, and in the same motion, threw her over his shoulder, using the speed of her attack to toss her into the air. Sori spun wildly in the air, flying higher and higher, until she went down, into the nearby trees, out of sight. He's so much weaker and slower than her, but he's still keeping her away. Kiba noted, seriously impressed by Giza's skill. She was faster and stronger than Sori, yet even at her peak, she could never touch Sori. In fact, this fight was kinda reminding her of her own fight with Sori but in reverse, and Sori wasn't taking nearly as much damage as she had. The area went quiet for a little while, Sori was nowhere to be found, and Giza was completely still, standing still in the middle of the clearing, his eyes still closed. And then, a barrage of rocks flew out from trees, heading at Giza like they were launched from a weapon rather than thrown. Giza easily batted them away with a single arm, knocking away over a dozen stones in a matter of seconds. And that's when Sori came dashing at him from the opposite side on all fours, coming in low to grab his leg. However, Giza jumped over her swipe and kicked off her face into the air. Sori quickly recovered from the kick to the face, and pounced towards Giza, swiping at him mid-air, but Giza flipped his body backward, avoiding the blow, and then quickly threw some dirt he'd collected right into her eyes. Hiss! Sori cried as the dirt got into her eyes, blinding her. Gah! Giza kicked her in the head, sending her to the ground, sliding on her back across the dirt, while Giza landed safely on his feet. Sori flipped and landed on all fours, her eyes closed as that dirt attack had done more damage than any of his actual blows. But she could still easily overcome it. She stayed on all fours, and with her eyes closed, she charged at Giza. Sori swiped at Giza's legs, but with some fancy footwork, all while taking aim to try and kick her in the face, but she dodged each attack right back. This continued for a little while, neither two being able to hit the other, until eventually, Giza landed a kick to the face, which she tanked, and grabbed onto his foot. Sori immediately dragged Giza down, while jumping onto him, pinning him to the ground with her claws at his neck. "Got ya?" Sori smirked, tail wagging happily in victory. Yes, I suppose this your win," Giza said, not seeming at all surprised. "I thank you for your time. Please, head back to the manor, and fix yourself up." "Yeah, gotta get my eyes checked after that dirty trick," Sori said, rubbing her irritated eyes. "See ya. Have fun, Lady K." "So you couldn't win," Kiba noted with a frown. "Of course, I couldn't," Giza said, as he pulled himself up and dusted off his robe. "No matter how much skill one has, you cannot defeat a mountain by punching it. Or in simpler terms, at a certain level, the skill becomes less important than power in battles. Which is why I would never engage Sori in such a battle under normal circumstances." Still, lasting that long against her was very impressive, Kiba pointed out. "If I had your skills, with my power, I would be undefeatable." "No one is undefeatable," Giza warned her. "The moment one thinks themselves invincible is the moment they cement their own downfall. But yes, you would be an extremely formidable opponent. Was this your way of asking me to train you?" Kiba nodded and looked down at the ground, her fist tightly clenched. "So many people keep attacking us because of a stupid reason. I know I'm strong, but the people attacking us are even stronger. Like that lady who made me turn into that thing." "Ah, you're referring to your unrestrained form," Giza mused. "Yes, I was told about that. I suspect that even I would struggle to handle you in such a form. And Sori would likely be killed outright. A truly formidable power. I can tell that you have some negative feelings attached to that form. So I will leave my musing at that for now. But as for training, I will be more than happy to assist you. I owe your father a rather sizable debt after all. We will have to schedule it with my two other students, aka and Yonda." Kiba raised an eyebrow. "That's right, I heard that Yonda was learning to fight. What does that look like?" XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Now, when Giza had been told to give Yonda combat lessons, he'd been expecting mainly hand-to-hand. Maybe they'd use a wooden knife. He did not expect Yonda to be walking in with a giant pink hammer. The top of the hammer was very nearly as tall and just about as wide as Yonda's entire body. The center was covered in a wood coating, but the ends were pure metal, with mechanisms inside them. The pole was made of metal, with a comfortable grip that Yonda was holding. And the whole thing was painted pink and purple. "How exactly are you holding that hammer?" Giza asked. "Anti-gravity wood," Yonda answered. "Do you like my creation? I worked on it with the scientist at the lab. And by that I mean I told them what I wanted, and they made it. I call it the headache." Apt name, Giza thought. "So this is the weapon you wish to use? From the looks of it, that is no normal hammer. Aha, cover your ears." Yonda gave a wicked smirk, as she raised her hammer over her head. Gong! The hammer smashed into the ground, unleashing a blast of deafening sound around her. Giza could barely keep himself from falling over as he was overwhelmed by the sheer wave of sound, and all he could hear was a ringing in his now bleeding ears. "It's even stronger than I thought it would be," Yonda said, very pleased, and unaffected by the sound. "Well, this is going to be pleasant," Giza sighed.